At the wedding, when it came time to drink the cup, Liam, the male chimera picked up by his wife Isabella, suddenly lost control of his emotions in front of everyone. He forcibly kissed Isabella. I immediately pushed him away, but Isabella slapped me hard and pointed at my nose to reprimand me. "Alex, why are you so calculating like those men? Don't forget why I chose you in the first place." I looked at their backs as they left and smiled bitterly, as I comforted my relatives and friends who were there. After it was over, I knocked on the door of the wedding room. Isabella, sweating profusely, poked her head out. "You must be tired after a long day. Tonight, let Liam help us with the ceremony." When a chimera is in a susceptible stage, it can be very painful if you don't get relief, so you have to be understanding. Before the words were out of her mouth, she was pulled away by the chimera. I turned away and sent a text message to an unfamiliar number. "Does what you said still count?" "Of course it counts. I'm on a business trip abroad. I'll be back in 3 days. Do you have time to pick me up?" Sophia replied me immediately. When I proposed to Isabella successfully, everyone was joking that I had been chasing Mtkes Johnson's family for 6 years and finally got my wish. Only she said to me with eyes full of concern, "Alex, if you ever get really disappointed in Isabella, can you come back to me? I'm waiting for you." At that time, I would have apologized to her and said firmly that Isabella wasn't like that. Now, across a wall, my wife is intimate with another man in our well-prepared bridal chamber. I felt sick to my stomach and closed my eyes in pain. I couldn't stop the tears. I cried out all the love I had for Isabella for the past 6 years. Opening my eyes again, I saw Sophia asking me carefully. I replied, "There is time. I will pick you up in 3 days on time." Then I turned around and left. After returning to my own home, Isabella called me. Her voice was a bit husky and sounded stronger. "Alex, go get me a condom. I'll give you 10 minutes to deliver it." I was a little tired and rubbed my brow before opening my mouth to retort. "You used to play so glamorously. How come you don't even have any reserves at home?" Isabella is a notorious playboy in her circle. After following her around for 6 years, she had many boyfriends. Yet she kept treating me as a spare tire, making me listen to her at all times. Her best friend mocked me in public, like an annoying dog that she couldn't get rid of. I was so sarcasm that I was in tears. Isabella, however, laughed and chimed in, never once putting in a good word for me. It was the first time I had ever refused Isabella's request. She froze for a moment, then her voice raised in decibels. "Alex, how dare you lose your temper with me? I asked you to deliver something for your own good. You can rest in the guest room directly after the delivery. You don't have to run to your old rental house over there. Guest room." I couldn't help but laugh and outright refused. "Isabella, please listen, from now on, I'm not going to do anything for you. I'm already home, don't worry about it." Isabella seems to be unable to speak and is a bit angry. "Your little house is in the eastern suburbs. It's a long way from here. Where can you go? If you don't want to spend the night out here, then hurry up and bring your stuff over. This is already a sign that I'm giving you face." I looked up across the window and was about to explain. That's when Liam said, "Isabella, you really are too kind. It's so true that kindness isn't treated correctly, so let him spend the night on the street if he wants to." Then he started to exert temptation on Isabella. Since he wouldn't give us a ride, we didn't need his help. I know he said that to me on purpose. Isabella nodded a little shyly. Immediately, there was a light-hearted voice on the other end of the line. I went to the floor-to-ceiling window and saw 2 figures together in the dim light of the villa across the street. When picking out her wedding home, Isabella particularly liked the tallest building in this villa neighborhood, so I promised her that I would buy this villa as a wedding gift. She was full of contempt and laughed at me for being just an empty talker. I quietly took out my entire savings to buy the place and decorated it exactly to her liking. I was looking forward to seeing her surprise, but before I could tell her, she was with Liam. I silently closed the curtains, but my heart felt like it was being ripped out of my chest. It especially hurt. I had just woken up from a nap and picked up my phone to see that there were a dozen new messages in the app. They were all photos of Isabella in various erotic clothes with flirty eyes, accompanied by videos. Liam couldn't help but sigh. It was mind-blowing. Isabella. Wouldn't Alex be a little sour if he knew you were relieving me like this? Isabella freezes for a moment, then quickly continues her actions. Don't mention him. It's no fun. The video ends here. Then Liam proudly provoked by saying, I heard that you didn't even touch her hand. What a disappointment, even though I was prepared for this inside. I couldn't help but feel a subtle pain. It is my principle to respect the people I love. Before the wedding, I hadn't even touched Isabella's hand, but I had always cared for her like a treasure, and I never thought she would take the initiative to cater to Liam. I felt a little lost. After adjusting my emotions, I decided to go to Johnson's father and Johnson's mother to withdraw from the wedding. Before the wedding, Isabella had been reluctant to go with me to get the license. At that time, I always felt frustrated and reassured myself that it was okay to wait. Now it saves me a lot of trouble instead. I ran into Isabella and Liam just as I was leaving the house. The two of them were as sweet as newlyweds. Isabella's skin was covered in hickeys, and she walked a little shakily. Leaning close to Liam, her eyes widened in shock when she saw me coming out of the villa. What are you doing out of here, Alex? Did you meet some rich female? No wonder you were completely different from people yesterday, so there was someone special out there. I frowned and coldly explained. Mtkes Johnson really thinks too much. I bought this house myself. Why can't I go from here? Isabella is about to be furious, speaking in an agitated manner, completely lacking the appearance of a young lady. How can you afford a mansion? You don't even have a job. You're struggling to make ends meet, and you're my husband. Do you really think people will believe you? More and more people around me started pointing at me. I clenched my fists tightly. Isabella was the only child in the family, and my parents had died a long time ago. I had become the Johnson family's nominal son-in-law, which was only natural. Isabella screwed me over and arrogantly demanded that I stay home and take care of her. Still, I felt I should have some income, so I used my savings to start a company. Every time I shared my business with Isabella, she always looked impatient and told me not to say anything. Slowly, I dared not say anything more to her. I was a useless person who was totally dependent on her. The company is actually doing quite well. I realized financial freedom a long time ago and never asked her for money. I was very uncomfortable, and my face turned ugly as I said verbatim, if you don't believe me, you can ask the property owner to verify who the owner is on the real estate license. Isabella didn't listen and reached out to hit me. I quickly grabbed her wrist. There was a lot of strength. Isabella suddenly got teary-eyed, stomped her feet in anger, and pointed at my nose in reproach. You've been pretending in front of me long enough, leaning on that woman. That's amazing, Alex. Then let's not point fingers at each other. I just want to spend this honeymoon with Liam. I was almost speechless. I really saw through her intentions. It turns out that after all the hard work she's put into explaining it, she just wants to go on a honeymoon with Liam. Liam was fanning the flames, saying, Alex, I didn't realize you were this kind of person. It really makes a man feel ashamed. Isabella answered a phone call and pulled me in, not too happy about it. My dad said, yesterday's incident made a big fuss, and it is not good for the company. Want you to plan another wedding and broadcast the whole thing 3 days later. It's all because you didn't handle it well at the time that things got out. And now everyone on the internet is criticizing me and Liam. Isabella glared at me fiercely, and I froze there. The person in front of me at the moment, who I found hard to believe, was actually the same Isabella who always dared to stand up for me in high school. Maybe I never saw her for what she really was. She saw that I didn't say anything and smiled gently. What's the matter? You're happy to have a new wedding. Our family will not pay for this wedding." I slowly regained my consciousness and was about to refuse when Liam showed a pained expression and eagerly pulled up Isabella's clothes. Isabella, who didn't have much of an expression for me before, suddenly became shy, and she gently consoled Liam as if to say, "Liam, you're still out there, hold it in for a while. Let's talk about it at home." Then she said to me with some impatience, "This matter will be left to you. The wedding should be well organized. Don't let the Johnson family lose face." Her attitude changed so quickly that I completely lost my feelings for her. I looked at their backs like one Siamese twins. The corners of my mouth turned up slightly. A wedding. I'll definitely make it a lively affair. Isabella's wedding dress has been torn by Liam. I'd rushed her several times before she'd slogged off to the mall to try on her new wedding dress. Her face was pale, a little dark under her eyes. Her body looked thin, and she walked a little unsteadily. I kindly asked her if she wanted to see a doctor first. Isabella took the wedding dress, rolled her eyes as she walked towards the fitting room and said out loud to me, "Haven't you and that auntie ever had a night of sparring together? It's so uncomfortable." I lowered my head and started playing with my phone. Isabella came out soon after. She's not very tall, and the hem of her wedding dress drags on the floor, making it look a little long. Isabella almost tripped over the hemline and couldn't help but complain, "Alex, what did you pick? Do you want me to make a fool of myself at the wedding?" I looked up at her and didn't say anything. Isabella frowned, not too happy, and picked out a few more wedding dresses. Before I could try them on, I got a call from Liam. His voice was a little choked and he sounded sad. "Isabella, come back soon. I can't hold out a bit longer. I just want to be with you." I couldn't help but sigh. Isabella panicked and comforted him, then left in a hurry. She didn't even look at me from start to finish. The shopper next to me casts a sympathetic glance, but I'm used to it. Ever since Isabella picked up Liam, this special person, off the street, whenever Liam was a little occupied, she'd immediately leave me to go to him while we were on a date. On my birthday, she invited me on a rare occasion to go hiking with her and set off fireworks for me on the mountain. But all Liam had to do was say he missed her, and she left me on the mountain and drove home by herself. I stood up and asked the guide to wrap that wedding dress. The guide is a little surprised but packs it carefully. On my cell phone screen, Sophia sent a kiss emoji. I laughed softly. Actually, it wasn't for Isabella. 3 days passed in a flash. A new wedding came as promised. I asked someone to prepare the equipment and turned on the full live broadcast as requested by Papa Johnson. Seeing the wedding scene that was much grander than before, Papa Johnson happily patted me on the shoulder and rarely showed me a good face. "Alex, what happened last time was Isabella's fault. But you, as a son-in-law, should still be generous. This time the wedding was well organized. Tomorrow I will let you into the company and support Isabella well." I listened carefully. Actually, it's just a small role. Johnson's dad has always looked down on me and was wary of me at the same time. I met the admiring gaze cast by Papa Johnson, gently sipped a mouthful of red wine, and slowly said, "Thank you, Uncle Johnson. I remembered that you've always wanted to talk business with the Smith family's old boss. Today, I specially invited her to come." Papa Johnson, both happy and puzzled, asked, "Where is Chief Smith?" He rubbed his hands together while looking around excitedly. "You actually managed to invite Chief Smith here. That's a bit of a surprise to me. Don't joke with me." I looked down at my watch. It was almost time to go on stage. But by now, Isabella still hasn't shown up. I gently patted Johnson's dad's shoulder, flashed a smile, and said, "Take your time to look for it." Just a second before I went on stage, Isabella, who had disappeared for a long time, sent me a message. "Today is the last day of Liam's susceptibility period. I have to help him. The wedding is postponed until tomorrow." The tone sounded so matter-of-fact. I raised an eyebrow as if it was just an inconsequential and harassing message. Silently, I turned off my cell phone and walked happily onto the stage. The doors to the auditorium slowly opened to the cheers of the guests. Sophia walks slowly towards me in her wedding dress with a happy smile on her face. Isabella struggles to get up from the bed. She trembles and rushes to put on her dress, but her hands are too shaky to button it. Liam is in the bathroom humming as he showers. Isabella is a little angry inside. Liam was asking too much of her too often, and it was getting to be too much for her. Isabella thought to herself, if this continues, she will be tortured by Liam to the point where she can't stand it, so she decided to leave in a hurry. Walking down the street, the big LED screen was showing Alex's wedding scene. Isabella frowned. Didn't she say she was going to postpone the wedding until tomorrow? How could this Alex guy have a wedding without a bride? She rushed to take a cab, and on the way she heard the people next to her talking. Said the bride was especially beautiful, and heard that she was the president of the Smith Group. Alex was a real surprise this time. Look at the two of them really match. Isabella paused for a moment, then grabbed one of the men by the shoulders and asked angrily, "What did you say? Who is the bride? Isn't this wedding Alex and Isabella's?" The man recognizes Isabella and points to the big screen as if he's watching. "See for yourself." Isabella's eyes widened in anger and she gasped and turned her head to look. On the big screen, the last image was aimed right at Alex and Sophia having a cross cocktail. The two were smiling and looking especially in love. As the toast was made, my relatives were happy for me. Sophia took my arm and smiled as she held my drink. She turned her head and gently reminded, "You have a weak stomach, I'll drink this wine." It surprised me a little and made me feel warm inside. When I was in high school, I suddenly got a very serious stomach illness that hurt so much that I was about to pass out. Sophia was my classmate in front of me, and seeing that I was unsuccessful in asking Isabella for help, she took me directly to the infirmary. Isabella had long forgotten about it, and in her normal life, she would still take me to the drinking game to help her block the drinks. I didn't think Sophia would remember it after all these years. Her hair was down and the pearly swirls on her face were especially cute. I reached out to fix her hair for her, and it felt natural. Sophia froze and blushed as she looked at me. When we walked over to Johnson's dad Johnson's mom's table, they both didn't look too good, especially Papa Johnson, who was gasping for air and had eyes that looked like they wanted to swallow me. But as soon as he saw Sophia beside me, he immediately became respectful and called Chief Smith. Papa Johnson lowers his head and raises his glass in a toast to Sophia. "General Smith, I wish you a happy wedding. What do you think of the cooperation proposal that Johnson's family proposed to you last time?" Sophia wore a smile, but a lofty aura permeated her body. "Oh, I remember. This program is quite good." Sophia didn't say anything else but just concentrated on fixing my tie. A group of people then quickly gathered around and started toasting Sophia. Johnson's dad was left out in the cold and his face turned ugly. He glared at me. But I didn't care. He had to struggle to squeeze into the crowd. Mr. Smith, the Johnsons are sure to please you." Sophia glanced at him and commented briefly, "The Johnsons certainly won't disappoint me, as I wasn't counting on them in the first place. Your mismanagement has seen several recent projects fail, and last year's Isabella debacle took a big toll on your reputation. I guess this is a kind of retribution for all the times you guys have been bullying people." Sophia stared coldly at Papa Johnson, feeling embarrassed and blushing. Papa Johnson lowers his head and slowly backs away from the crowd like a lost dog amidst the strange stares of the others. Sophia gave a wink, and two nearby security guards took Papa Johnson into the small dark room. She gently grabbed my hand and held it tight, said it was a breath of fresh air for me, and that no one would bully me from now on. My nose turned a little sour. In high school, Isabella used to say that she was letting me tutor in order to go to the bar and she gave me money, so she always came home late at night. Johnson's dad realized that her grades had gone down instead of up, so he came to the school and in front of the whole school, He got mad at me and even hit me. Isabella stepped aside and just kept her head down and didn't speak up for me. I became disliked by everyone at school and even lost my chance to play in the league. I looked at Sophia's side and held her hand. Just then, the door to the auditorium was suddenly opened. A very angry yell broke the joyful atmosphere of the venue. "Alex, how could you? How could you marry someone else? This wedding is clearly mine." Isabella, with tears in her eyes, rushed over to me and asked me. She looked like an outcast, very pitiful. "You're with this auntie. This is outrageous. We were already married once, and this wedding was arranged by my dad, who asked you to arrange it. I don't care if you play outside, but who told you to go and marry this aunt?" Seeing the wedding dress Sophia was wearing, she was so angry that she was about to lose control and immediately reached out to touch Sophia. "This is my wedding dress. Quickly give it back to me." I frowned and stood in front of Sophia. "What the hell are you doing? Please watch what you say." Mtkes Johnson. "This joint wedding invitation of mine has Alex and Sophia's names written all over it." Isabella froze. At the time, she left the wedding to me and acted like she didn't care. Spending the whole day with Liam, she knew nothing about the whole process and hadn't even read the invitations. If she had taken a closer look, she would have realized that there was not a single Johnson relative in the big hall, except for Johnson's father and Johnson's mother. All those present were Sophia's and my family and friends. Someone threw the invitation right in Isabella's face. She shuddered and opened it. The invitation surprised her. Then she threw it away as hard as if she'd been electrocuted, whispering, "What does it matter? We've already been married once. Aren't you afraid that people will laugh at you for doing this?" I couldn't help but let out a soft laugh. Everyone knows that during the wedding, Isabella, the eldest Miss Johnson, ran off after a strange man in front of Alex, the groom. Isabella has always been fun-loving, and this is just one of the bad things she's done. I, on the other hand, had become the biggest joke of all. Seeing me like this, Sophia pushed me behind her. Sophia was tall and wore high heels, and her aura overpowered Isabella. Isabella always called her an old woman. "We're still classmates, and I'm 3 months younger than you by birthdays, so if I count as an old woman, what do you count as?" What I want to say is, whether it's a wedding dress or a person, what some people casually discard, there are still people who find it very precious. 2 people standing together. Isabella could only look up at Sophia as her face turned ugly. "Classmate." Isabella tried to recall, as if looking for the name from her memory. After a while, she finally remembered and said with contempt and disdain in her tone, "Wow, after following Alex like a fly all this time, you finally found your chance, ah? Junior." Then she spread her hands and began to arrange it. "Everyone, come and take a look. This girl has been liking my boyfriend since we were in high school, and it's seriously affecting our relationship. It's so frustrating. I want to make it public about her." Isabella's voice is getting louder. Johnson's dad had just come out of the small dark room, his face swollen like a pig's head, and his face instantly became very bad when he heard this. Then Papa Johnson suddenly rushed over and gave Isabella 4 or 5 slaps. Isabella was hit so hard that her eyes blazed and blood flowed from the corners of her mouth. She froze for a moment, confused as to why her dad, who had always loved her so much, was hitting her. Papa Johnson grimaced and yelled at her. "Who taught you to speak in such a rude manner? How can you talk to Mr. Smith like that? No manners and basic respect at all. Get out of here." What a disappointment. Isabella was pushed off the stage by Papa Johnson. Papa Johnson's face breaks into a smile and keeps apologizing to Sophia. Sophia smiles back slightly. Working with the Johnson family has given Papa Johnson a renewed sense of hope. Sophia gently took my arm and hinted that I could start talking. I looked into her smart little eyes and cleared my throat. Then I looked straight at Papa Johnson and with a pleading gaze slowly spoke. "We will never, ever consider it. Papa Johnson's illusions are shattered, his teeth are clenching and his whole face is purple with anger. Well, Alex, you are indeed amazing. He had more to say, but in front of Sophia, he had to withdraw silently. Isabella and her parents stayed in the corner, surrounded by half a dozen security guards keeping the venue tight, and the atmosphere was much quieter. After the wedding, I sent off all the guests and was about to ride home in the wedding car with Sophia. Isabella suddenly ran out from the shadows and blocked me. Her eyes were red as if she had just cried. Alex, did you purposely find her to piss me off in order to punish me for capriciously skipping the wedding? Sophia became nervous, like a cat with fried hair. I gently patted her hand and told her to get in the car first. I'll take care of this. Isabella, you're thinking too much. I have nothing to do with you now. My wife is Sophia. I don't want to upset her, so please leave. Isabella still refused to let go and held onto my clothes for dear life. Not letting me go. I really ran out of patience. I directly pushed her away and took a step back and said loudly, Isabella, what did you take me for when I loved you before? Now that I don't love you anymore, you're pestering me instead. What's going on here? Maybe it was the first time I was so harsh. She froze. Her eyes reddened with tears all of a sudden. At this time, the cell phone in her pocket suddenly rang, as if urging her to answer it. It was Liam calling, probably wanting Isabella to go back and help him with something. She clenched her lips and looked embarrassed as she looked at what was on her phone. I didn't want to tangle with her any longer. When she wasn't looking, I went straight to the car. Behind her, Isabella stomped her feet in exasperation. It was supposed to be the wedding night, but Sophia was sitting at the end of the bed hugging her computer and busy working. I was on the side, looking at her face that looked haggard after removing her makeup, and I couldn't help but feel heartbroken. After she saw my news, she actually shortened her half-month of work abroad to 3 days. It was so that she could quickly return to China to see me. Sophia saw my gaze and took the time to kiss my cheek. Hurry up and finish, it'll be done soon, good girl. I nodded and held her hand, my heart filled with happiness. After a while, Sophia closed the computer and naughtily burrowed into my arms. Now, it was time to start enjoying that bit of the wedding night. I leaned over and gently kissed her on the lips, helped her cover up the quilt, and turned off the light. Get some rest first. Sophia froze for a moment, then broke into a smile and leaned on my arm and quickly fell asleep. I looked at her sleeping face and felt immensely happy in my heart. Suddenly, my cell phone rang and I received a message. Isabella had sent over a lot of pictures. She was wearing very attractive pajamas and posing for pictures. But she looked skinny, and the bones in her chest were obvious and a bit frightening, and she had a large hand on her waist, most likely Liam's, even though she tried to cover it up. Some hickeys were still faintly visible on her bare skin. Alex, if you come over here right now, I'll let Liam go and tonight will be considered our belated wedding night. I frowned and countered, Isabella, you're such a disappointment. Then quickly deleted all of Isabella's contact information, then set the phone on airplane mode. Turning my head, I saw Sophia kick the covers off and gently helped her straighten the corners. She mumbles in a small voice, I'm so happy, Alex, I finally get to be with you. I hugged her tightly from behind, thinking silently, I'm happy too. The next day, I was woken up by Sophia. I opened my eyes in a daze and saw that her eyes were full of tenderness. She blinked her eyes and spoke in a soft voice. Honey, are you awake? What do we want to eat for breakfast? I had a sudden jolt in my heart and realized that life is actually a thing that requires constant action. I was just about to take out my cell phone to record the moment, but I didn't realize something big had happened. Isabella tweeted last night, bitterly accusing me of being a bad person all along, living off her for years only to attach herself to a rich sister on the eve of her wedding and outright abandon her as a bitter wife. Isabella is a fashion blogger who portrays the image of a delicate princess and has many fans. In her long post, she purposely didn't mention Sophia, a rich woman's name, but expressed more regret that she had wasted the last 6 years of her youth on me. While criticizing me for being ungrateful and acting like an ungrateful person, she even included a picture of me. Isabella obviously didn't want to start a fight with Sophia. She just wanted to get back at me and put me in the limelight. Almost all of the top 20 items on the Hot 100 right now are talking about Alex, the ugly ducking cheater. The comment section is also buzzing with popular comments that have tens of thousands of likes. This kind of man is really infuriating. Heartache you, Isabella. From the text can see how sad Isabella. The girl can have a few 6 years. I am most disgusted with men who depend on women. They should really reflect on themselves. Some people who knew the truth were speaking up for me, but most of them were also drowned out by the hordes of insults and even chased by some agitated netizens. My private messages were full of unpleasant remarks. When I saw the comforting messages from my relatives and friends, I was surprised that my nose was so sore that tears almost flowed down my face. Isabella not only wanted me to become a joke in the capital circle, she also wanted me to lose my reputation, be attacked by netizens, and even involve my relatives and friends. Isabella, she's trying to completely ruin me, and her followers skyrocketed with over 1 million views on her account. The heat was on. Sophia leaned on my shoulder and curiously came over and asked, "What are you looking at, looking so intently?" I subconsciously exited the page, trying to calm myself down, but she still sensed my emotions. Sophia scrolled through the comments, and suddenly tears flowed down her face. Always looking like a decisive female president in front of outsiders, I didn't expect that she would instantly burst into tears when she saw comments that were bad for me. I took her in my arms and comforted her. Then I went out with the intention of going to Isabella, only to see a few big words written in spray paint on the door of my house. "Scum and bitch go to hell." I felt as if the blood in my entire body had stopped flowing. An intense anger suddenly surged to my heart, and I was so angry that I rushed straight to Isabella's house. She was lying on the sofa, the thin quilt just covering her body. Her cheeks were sunken, her skin looked very pale, and her whole body looked very haggard. When she saw me, she gave a smug smile. "Alex, this is what you get for betraying me." I laughed in anger. "Isabella, who are you to accuse me of betraying you? If I were to say, you've betrayed me many times already, right?" Isabella's expression is a bit tense. "As long as you apologize and marry me, I will immediately have the water army remove the post. After 10 days and half a month, people won't remember this incident anymore." She said these words with ease, sounding as if the damage I received because of cyber violence was nothing at all. Looking at this Isabella in front of me, whose heart was full of calculations, I really hated myself for looking away in the past and loving her for so many years like a moth to a flame. I looked around the room, but I never saw Liam. "It was Liam you always wanted to marry, wasn't it? I'm not as good as him anywhere. Why would he choose me?" It's not that I have an inferiority complex. On our anniversary, I accidentally burnt the rice, and Isabella kicked me out of the house unhappily and said so herself afterwards. Speaking of Liam, Isabella was not at all gentle as before. Instead, she gritted her teeth and said forcefully, "I was just playing with him. I probably know how they turned out." Liam got what he wanted in his relationship with Isabella and stopped caring about her after that. Moreover, due to the properties of a chimera, the longer Isabella was in contact with him, the weaker she would get herself, while Liam would get stronger. I laughed lightly. "Isabella, it's really self-inflicted." A hint of resignation appeared on her face and she crawled out from under the covers. I realized she wasn't dressed and hurriedly closed my eyes and turned to run. She moved quickly and hugged me around the waist, her voice choked with sobs as she begged me, "Alex, I know I was wrong. I used to play outside too indulgent. Now I realize that you are true to me. I will promise to live a good life with you in the future. Can you forgive me?" Seeing that I didn't say anything, Isabella changed the topic. It's fine if you don't promise, but I won't delete those posts on the internet." At that moment, Sophia huffed and came over to cover my eyes and pulled me away. Then she hit Isabella hard twice with a very harsh tone. "Isabella, I'm really giving you face." I knew Sophia's business was big, but I didn't expect it to be this big. Listening to Sophia, I realized that she had worked with the top management of a certain blog and had a pretty good relationship. It didn't take long for all the related posts to be deleted. The lawyer from her team even wrote a special clarification letter for me. It organized the emotional entanglements between Isabella and I. Not only did it list the evidence of her cheating many times, but it also mentioned the company under my name, proving that I am not the kind of person who relies on others to live, as she said. Those netizens who had insulted me received notices from the court, and not only did they have to publicly apologize to me, but their accounts were also permanently banned. People started to feel for me and flocked to Isabella to get justice for me. Isabella's comment section sparked controversy. People felt that she was really teasing netizens as if they were clowns, and it made people feel helpless. I used to put in a good word for her, but I didn't realize that she would falsely accuse others of purposely pretending to be pathetic in order to attract attention, which is really chilling. The messy sex life is causing health concerns and netizens are avoiding her when they see her on the road. Isabella's image completely collapsed, and Johnson Group was also affected, facing a public boycott, and its share price was in tatters. Coupled with Sophia Ming's suppression, Johnson Group became precarious and almost bankrupt. Isabella came to me with many accounts. "Alex, please help the Johnson family. I really know it's wrong. It's just an impulse. The company is in trouble. My dad went straight to ICU today. My mom had a nervous breakdown and almost jumped off a building. I'm really begging you. Can you please let Sophia be a little more forgiving and leave us alone? I beg you. Considering our friendship for so many years, just give me one more chance, okay?" Her tone sounds very sad. But aren't I quite pathetic? If I didn't have Sophia by my side to support me, I might have lost myself in this cyber violence and even risked my life. I'm not a savior. A tooth for a tooth and an eye for an eye is the last thing my parents taught me. I looked at her bitter message and decided to pull the plug on her. Not far away, Sophia stares at the screen, her mind torn. "Alex, look, which house do you like?" I smiled, put down my phone, sat down next to her and started discussing it together. "Sophia wants to move to Hai Cheng. I plan to sell this villa and take the money to buy another one in Hai Cheng." I asked Sophia why she wanted to go to Sea City. She looked at me seriously and said, "I remember you filled in Hai Cheng when you applied for volunteering in the college entrance examination." Isabella was going to stay in the capital during the college entrance exam. In order to be with her, I quietly adjusted my volunteer. Since then, Hai Cheng has become a permanent secret in my heart. Now, Sophia told the secret. I looked at her wrinkled face and felt happy inside. It was in the hospital when I saw Isabella again. I was sitting in the hallway waiting for Sophia to have her checkup. Turning my head, I saw in the corner that she was really having a hard time. She had dark circles under her eyes. Her body was thin as a bone. Her hair was disheveled. She was wearing a huge coat, and she looked completely drained. Until then, she had been desperately trying to message me, but I had blacked her out one by one. I'd moved away from my previous villa, and she couldn't find me. But the moment we laid eyes on each other, Isabella pounced on me like a wolf seeing its prey. She suddenly fell to her knees in front of me and cried very hard, sobbing and pleading with me. "Alex, please help me. I'm pregnant. I can't reach Liam and I don't have the money for the operation." I looked at Isabella's stomach in shock. She was crying and subconsciously covering it with her hands. I quickly realized she had asked Liam not to take safety precautions, and it would be normal for her to get pregnant. Isabella pulls at the edge of my shirt. "Alex, I was wrong in the past. I know I hurt you a lot. My company went bankrupt too. Mom and Dad kicked me out of the house and don't want me anymore. I got what I deserved. I'm begging you, help me. I really can't have this baby." I gave her a calm look and slowly broke her fingers. Isabella's eyes immediately darkened and she sat down on the floor, lost, and let out a sob. She no longer looked as arrogant and bossy as she used to. I sighed, took out $1,000 from my wallet and handed it to her. "Don't come back to me in the future. Isabella, we've separated. I'm doing well now and don't want to be affected by you anymore." Tears flowed from the corner of Isabella's eyes. She held my hand tightly and looked at me for a long time. Finally, she let go of my hand and silently stood up and walked away. Sophia had just come out of the examination room. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and she jumped into my arms, smiling happily. "Alex, it looks like you're going to have to return your ticket to Ocean City." I was confused. What's this about? She tapped my forehead with her finger and leaned in close to my ear and said, "Silly, I'm pregnant, Alex. You're going to be a dad." I was a little giddy with this unexpected news, and then immediately picked up Sophia and spun her around. I was so excited. "We're going to have a little baby." Sophia blushed and buried herself into my arms. She was too shy and wanted to go home. We drove to Ocean City. Just after leaving the hospital, the setting sun stretched our shadows. Sophia is very naughty, stepping on my shadow while laughing happily. I laughed along with her. The future is so bright and happy.